Kent.
And from the top of West Mountain, Scranton, Pennsylvania. Good morning, everybody. This is 94.3 FM, The Talker, Sanity Check, Libertarian Lou, Tea Party Mike. We got X on the line, I'm sure. Frank's in studio. We got a couple other guests in studio today. If you want to start your weekend off right, you can give us a call here at 888-577-4487. That number is 888-577-4487. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, and it's a great day, I guess, for Frank. At the end of the last week's show, we said God bless all and God bless the Eagles, and sure enough,
God did bless those Eagles there, Michael. So
he did, and when the atheists say that God cannot create miracles, we can prove it.
Number one in our division, and 2 straight wins since we talked last, Michael. How about that? And just out of curiosity, what is the mood like down there in Dallas after that game?
Well, if you put it all together, Frank, you've got Dallas lost, Texas A&M lost, and the Longhorns lost. So, they're just not talking about too much anymore, Frank.
I wonder why.
That's the first thing I had to hear today is when he walked in. He says, how'd those Eagles do? I said, what are you talking about? What Eagles?
Well, just so we're clear, again, number one in our division, tied for first in the league. How about that? They win on Sunday. They will be first in the league.
It's good to see you happy this morning. That's
right.
That's very important.
Absolutely.
Hey, Mike.
And that's Frank. Maybe you can spread some of that cheer onto the Democratic Party because I was doing some research last night, and Lou, as we know, they're so surprised. The Southern Democrats are saying we need to get back to basics, back to where we were before. Jobs, et cetera, et cetera. And I thought. That kind of sounds like the same thing the Republicans have been saying. We need to get back to our platform. We need, so Lou, we wonder why only 30% of the people vote.
That's
because
right.
They have no idea what they're voting for, Lou.
Well, we'll see how it all goes, Michael. But yes, getting back to basics. That's just what they need to do down there. And, I guess around the whole country for that matter. So
sure.
let me just get a couple things out here. Last week, I still got two tickets to give away to Ben Carson. That's this Wednesday coming up in Penn's Peak. Call us. Let us know. What do you like, don't like? Why would you want to go see Ben Carson? And if you have some good reasons for that, give us a call. And we have 2 tickets. They're valued at $25 a piece. That's what it costs to go see him, Michael. And for those that are not familiar with what we've done with Ben Carson and Penn's Peak, and we're help sponsoring that event down there. So we got a couple tickets to give away for that. So give us a call on that. What else we got going on this past week, Michael? Kathy Dobash. Kudos to Kathy Dobash. I got to say that she's keeping everybody on their toes.
As we knew she would.
Hey, Frank, they're hating it. We went to Luzerne County Council, Michael, me and John DiLiberto and a few other folks, only because she was going to read some stuff into the record for custody for cash and mentioned the Independent Gazette. But I got to tell you, you could just see like the steam is coming out of some of these folks' ears. And that's good because she does ask some very, very pointed questions. I did speak a little bit about that, certainly about what we've done on custody for cash, and it was a shame this past week. Once again, a couple individuals that we've been following. They lost complete parental rights. I look at some of these pictures, Michael, and it really is very disheartening. I mean, I don't get it. Spoke also about a few other people that we've been following. I mean, one woman hasn't even had the opportunity to talk to her children, I think, for 7 months. So one of the things that Kathy Dobash had talked about is that this whole children and youth, which was the reason this was even on, Frank. I don't even know if you're familiar with that, because unfortunately there's so much stuff going on out there, folks, that sometimes we don't. I mean, like you were filling in, I asking Frank what's going on in Wilkes-Barre Wilkes-Barre, and he tells me the stuff, and I said, I didn't know this, I didn't know that.
Wilkes-Barre again, Lou. I don't know if you saw this, but Wilkes-Barre has made national news once again.
How do we do that?
Because the woman who stabbed her boyfriend because he started eating Thanksgiving dinner without her.
Oh, geez.
So that's it. And again, this is just typical Wilkes-Barre. I have to wonder.
She was carving the turkey, Frank. She was carving the turkey.
That was her defense. I don't get it. I mean, I know I have a water filtration system on my home. I urge everyone in Wilkes-Barre, please get one immediately because they are putting something in that water supply.
So anyway, with Kathy, what happened with children and youth, Frank, and what we need to do, either you or maybe John DiLiberto, what we need to do is send off some right to knows. We need to find out how many lawsuits are pending or have been settled with children and youth in Luzerne County.
They don't have to tell you.
Why?
Pending litigation is exempt from right to know.
Okay, well, what was on the docket here for Luzerne County Council is one that they're settling then.
Right.
Okay, and that's the reason, Michael, that Kathy had even brought this whole situation up about the whole children and youth. And what happens here is that, sometimes I think it gets fluffed off saying, okay, well, the insurance company or the insurance carrier, Mike and Frank, are going to pay the bill. But as well as I do, they start paying bills. Somebody else pays the bill.
The premium starts going up.
The premiums start going up. So we need to look a little bit more into these things, and certainly we could. We need to send stuff off, probably in Lackawanna and Luzerne County. Right. I think John's not on a microphone, but I believe that we did this once before with the police stuff, right? And we didn't get back the information we needed.
It was too vague, they said. So
everything's vague. I mean,
you can't say I would like a list of all cases that you've settled in the past year, because that's too vague. There's just so many, Lou. We've paid off so many people, and there's no way we could possibly tabulate all that. So you have to be specific. But if you get too specific, they'll say there's legal rights to the victim, so we can't disclose any information.
So whatever, but either way, whatever we're going to do is that we certainly want to know a little bit more, Michael, about what's going on, and that was one of the reasons Kathy Dobash has actually spoke this into the record. And one of the things that we're going to discuss with not only Kathy, but, they get a lot of federal funds. So she wants to audit the books. And if they start putting up the barriers,
Oh, yeah.
Do you know how much Michael, you know how much everybody loves to get audited, but nonetheless, government agencies hate this even more so than we do on a personal level. So certainly what we need to do is keep them on the straight and narrow, and the faster we could do that, the better off we're all going to be. We were talking about cutting up turkeys, and the first thing...
Carving turkeys.
Carving turkeys, Michael. We have some folks calling in. They want to talk a little bit about Thanksgiving, but... I came in here a little bit earlier today, and the first thing Tom Jenkins, our producer, says, Bob Butts has it right. And Bob Butts always does have it right.
He does.
That people value money more than family sometimes, and he says he's just sick of this whole Black Friday, Thanksgiving. I just shut it off completely this year. It was just like, whatever they're doing. I says, I'm not doing nothing. We were fortunate enough to have all the grandkids over this weekend, and so we had a very nice Thanksgiving, and I hope our listeners, and certainly feel free to call in if you want, but we were very lucky to have a fantastic Thanksgiving, Michael. But this whole notion of what's going on with, and I guess folks can do what they want to do. It's just not my shtick. Times are changing, but it's unfortunate that we're spending Thanksgiving Day now out shopping.
Yes. Well, I had a customer yesterday I'm working. He said, I went running with the bulls yesterday.
He was with my wife at Walmart, wasn't he?
He was. I said, what? He goes, I went to Walmart. I said, well, that's what you get for going to Walmart on Thanksgiving. That's all I can tell you. So, but that's how crazy it is, and how crazy our culture has become to get out and do what? To be able to save a couple bucks perhaps, and I know the retail way, they mark it up 20% and sell it off for 10%. I mean, it's simple.
It's ridiculous already. I look at the Black Friday sales anymore, and the better sales are either before Black Friday or after.
Yeah.
So what you're saving on Black Friday, it's just a hype. My wife goes, she doesn't come home with anything practically, and she goes just to be able to watch people kill each other in public. And I'm like, she tells me it's like live Jerry Springer right there,
Hey, Michael, let me tell you something right now. If Sorek is telling you there's better deals outside, you could take
That's
that
right.
to the bank because he is the ultimate.
I know where to find them. I'm telling you.
He knows where to get the best deal no matter where it's at. Let's take a call. John is on line 2. Good morning, John.
Hello, my political angels on my shoulders. Yes, I actually wanted to call in and speak a little bit on behalf of the history of Thanksgiving, if I may.
Oh, absolutely. Go ahead.
Well, everybody believes that our history books in school are telling us the truth that
Uh-oh. Here we go
are-
again.
We're
I'm
being
sorry?
lied to once again.
I'm sorry, John. We were just being a little facetious here this morning, but go ahead. Give us the history.
Yeah. What had happened was, and it's backed up by the research from Kirk Cameron on his movie Monumental. Rush Limbaugh did a book on it. There's many actual proofs behind this, as well as William Bradford's journal, that whenever they were leaving England to get away from the oppression of the religion there that held them captive in England, they moved off to Holland, leaving their families behind. Well, whenever it became illegal for them in Holland, they then moved off to America, which was a treacherous journey. Well, at that point, they still believed in the idea of socialism. And through that idea of socialism, they weren't able to manufacture the houses fast enough, to build their crops fast enough. So a majority of them ended up dying while still on the ship through that first winter. William Bradford took over as the governor, and as such, he tried something that had never been tried before in the history of the world, which we now call capitalism. Out of that, he structured that each person would have their own land and keep what it is that they are to desire from that land, whether it be crop or if they go out hunting, gather furs. And out of this, they came up with an abundance, started trading with their neighbors of the Indians, and little by little were able to flourish. And that Thanksgiving, they sat down and brought in their newfound friends and gave thanks and blessing to the Lord for this type of life that gave them the freedoms that we now enjoy and that we must stay vigilant for.
Fantastic. Free markets. We go
At
ahead.
what point did they get up and go to Kmart?
I think that was like the third year.
Oh, good. Okay. Just checking.
Well, John, listen, thanks for calling in. I do want to give a little shout out. What is your organization? And we only have about a minute or so before we go to break, but just let folks know who you are and what you're all about and your organization is all about.
Yes, it's Operation Constitution. We can be found on Facebook, or our website is operationconstitution.org. What we do is we gather up all the different groups and elements, like your newspaper, Independent Gazette, and your guys' radio talk show, and David Madeira, if I may. Also, we compile all that on a website, so when people are looking for something, they can come to us and find that it's easily accessible, as well as they can go to our bulletin board and find news that has to do with their constitutional rights.
Fantastic. John, thanks for calling in, and we appreciate the work that you've been doing out there, and you just keep up the good fight. Michael, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the newspaper, Independent Gazette, the December issue, hot off the press. John just brought in a few copies here, and want to talk about some of the stories that we have going on, and good stuff. You listen to Sanity Check 94.3 FM, The Talker.
The answer
So
you're
wake
looking
me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself
So wake me up. I'm up today.
It looks it, Lou.
You listen to Sanity Check, Libertarian Lou, Tea Party Mike. We got X on the line, and we got Frank Sorek in studio, and a couple other guests that we're going to bring on here shortly. But I figured, good morning, X.
Hey guys, how you doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good. We just I was looking at the new newspaper here. Michael and X and I had to be laughing. I was telling John. I thought I just don't know how it just keeps getting better. And we say this week after week, month after month. This paper just came out today, or actually last night. We have the Carbon County paper coming out on Monday. And then about 10 days following the quad, and then we have Tri-County coming up here shortly, and who knows what else is going to be coming up. But I was laughing with John yesterday a little bit, and I was saying, folks pick up this paper. I swear to God, first of all, the headline paper, the stories are pretty easy going. We figured we'd take it easy for the Christmas edition here, certainly. Christmas edition. You allowed to say Christmas edition? We are politically incorrect? Or
no, I don't care, Lou. I don't care who's offended. Turn off your radio. If you don't like Christmas edition, go away.
There you go. So anyway, it's Buffalo or Bison, Michael. Muckrakers adopt the mascot. Pretty cool story. But I said, I was telling John, I said, folks pick up this paper and they start reading it. On page 3 is a prisoner on the ladder. Okay, it's about a individual that we're doing some work with, Lindy Morelli, but he's in jail in Michigan for life for a murder that Lindy and a few other folks feel as though that he did not commit. So we're doing some work with that. But as I'm going through this, we have the most important election you haven't heard of. X, that was your story. But I was saying, like somebody will be reading this, folks, the paper, and they say, "Man, I love this paper." And by the time they reach the next page, I hate these guys. I can't stand them. And then they open the paper up again. The next thing, we got public education, appendage of the left. Oh, we love these. Oh, these guys are brilliant. And then we go through in here. Like there was another one here about favoring a minimum wage increase to the minimum wage. And it's like, I can't. These guys are crazy. They're nuts. So if you pick up the paper, fair warning. Maybe you should take your blood pressure medicine before you start, because you're going to love some of the stories and you're going to hate the others. But at the end of the day, our whole point, and I think it's coming it's coming out more and more, is that we're going to give everybody a voice, whether we like it or not. That's just the way it's going to be. So X, certainly once again, we did touch on your story here a little bit last month or last week. The most important election you haven't heard of. So anyway, so that's go ahead, X.
So obviously this big vote that's going to take place in Switzerland on Sunday is important. This is basically I'm looking at it as probably the last bastion of individuals trying to fight back against central banks. Remember, most people in their countries, they have no control over their central banks. They can vote all they want to. It's not going to have any effect on the policies. And the Swiss are going to be able to vote this Sunday to basically back their currency with 20% of their foreign reserves being held in gold that the Swiss government can no longer sell. And that's gigantic. In addition to that, they're going to repatriate or bring back all of the gold that they have overseas. So for a lot of people that have always been thinking that there's a lot of manipulation going on within the markets, remember there's a thing called hypothecation, and that basically is where, just like fractional reserve currencies, where you put $1 in the bank and the bank can lend out multitudes of it. That's what a lot of people think has been going on within the gold market. This would force that hand, because obviously you can't lend against gold that you don't have in your vault.
Well, what would this do to the world monetary system, in your opinion, X?
Well, I think what's going to happen is if this was to pass, what we would be looking at again is once, just like before the whole crisis began in Europe in 2011, we had a big run-up in the price of gold, right up until the point that the Swiss decided that they were going to peg their currency to the euro. And the reason why they did that was because everyone in Europe with half a brain was taking their money out of the French banks, the German banks, the Cyprus banks, the Greek banks, the Italian banks, and dumping it into the Swiss banks because they said, look, I don't trust my government. The only ones I trust in this whole area is the Swiss, so might as well keep it there. By doing the peg, they essentially, let's say, jumped on board with the monetary Keynesians of the time and have gone, let's say, full retard, so to speak, by joining into that. And this is a big thing for individuals in the United States because this is what we should be doing also by taking a firmer hand with how our monetary system is run. I mean, hell, just even auditing and finding out if we even have the gold in Fort Knox would be a good step in the right direction.
You bring this stuff up. You mention this to folks, and it's like the hair on the back of their neck goes up, or they just put up this fence, saying, "Well, why would we not? Why would not our elected officials move ahead and make this public? Why? Because certainly it's come up about Fort Knox, but you bring it up, and right away everybody says, "Oh, you're crazy."
Of course it's there.
Of course it's there. Well, if folks are starting to bring these questions up, Michael, wouldn't you want to know, or wouldn't our elected officials say, "Wait a minute, too many people are asking these questions. How about having
just show an old photo of the gold and say, here, of course it's there. Right. I could Photoshop some gold into that vault for you. Come on."
Yeah, I mean, these are the things that I think it's important, and we touched on this last week, and I definitely want to touch on it again, but. Whether it's an audit or audit the Fed or audit our gold and stuff like that, having conversations with our elected officials, I think, guys, are so important. And once again, kudos. I'm going to keep saying this to Tom Marino, only because certainly we had maybe some differing views on some of the bills or on this recent bill about the national ID card. But, once we start having these conversations going back and forth, I believe that this is where we could actually understand one another and understand why. But if our officials don't get back to us, if they don't talk, if they don't have that conversation, where are we going, guys?
Well, and that's true. We need to have that conversation. I think Pennsylvania is lucky to have a Tom Marino who listens. And so that's the difference. We have politicians that really don't listen because they have an agenda. So, this is where it's so important that I hear all the time, I'm not going to vote, it doesn't make a difference. But, people listening out there, if we can get from 30% to 60%, that would turn everything around. That would get people in that maybe we feel can properly represent us, Lou. So we need to lose that mentality. I'm not going to vote because it doesn't matter, because it does.
And I didn't get it out. X, I know you wanted to jump in here, but I didn't get it out to Marino's office this week, only because, between the holidays and Thanksgiving and everything going on. But I will, at the beginning of this week, send him the conversation that's going on between the Ron Paul Institute with Gary Johnson's organization, Tom Marino, and then maybe some of these other representatives will join in, and we could discuss this and find out. I said this the other day. I'm not a Kool-Aid drinker either. I mean, like, if Marino comes back and say, "Hey, wait a minute, the Ron Paul Institute is off on this." Okay, well, let's look at it, and we don't take everything at word. We say this all the time. Don't believe a word we say. Right. Certainly, we don't want to believe a word that everybody else tells us either without doing some research, right?
Exactly.
Luke, the big thing that stands out again is when it comes to your money, this is indicative of politics also. You want to have transparency and openness, but you remember, central bankers don't want there to be openness. They want to be able to operate behind the scenes and keep people in the dark. Because
Sounds like the courts.
It wasn't until we had Freedom of Information Acts that we found out that during, the entire financial crisis that the U.S. was bailing out foreign banks to the tunes of billions of dollars in loans. Now, when the people went in to vote, though, your elected representatives, they were voting for this. A lot of them claimed that they were never told this. So again, it's all like interconnected like a crazy spider web. That the one thing is the system needs there to be opaqueness and intentionally in order to function, because if not, it would would question the legitimacy of what we're actually doing.
And I'm thinking, I'm thinking just government in general. The more they can operate in secrecy, the better off they are.
It's for our own good, I'm quite sure, Lou. The American people wouldn't be able to handle the truth. I mean, think about this. We've all heard that these banks were too big to fail. They had to be bailed out, their X. And quite frankly, they probably did, because what would have happened to the market if Bank of America, Citigroup actually folded?
And I'm just looking at our organizations in general. Certainly, we've been on the courts. I mean, there's somebody else that absolutely operate in secrecy. I mean, it just you got to shed light on these things, and it's the only way, and Frank, you touched on it. I know you were just being a little cute there, so to speak, but yeah, it's for our own good.
Right.
It's for the children.
Good. Right.
We have to make sure that we're protecting either you or for the children or something else, and it all sounds good, but at the end of the day,
the point is they think they know better. Sometimes they might, but at the end of the day, we the people have a right to know why they're making the decisions that they're making, so that we the people can determine whether or not we want to keep them on their next election term. I just feel that these people have to be transparent.
I think we're going to take one quick call again before we go to break. Good morning, Gary.
Hey, good morning, guys. Happy Thanksgiving weekend.
Same to you, Gary.
Listening to the X talk there about the gold and Fort Knox and stuff. I want everybody to be Mike, my good Republican friend from Texas. I'd like everybody to be reassured nothing was going to happen last week, being that the Congress the House led by John Boehner went home the Friday before Thanksgiving. So we have the president giving executive actions and the Democrats or the Republicans convening Congress and going home for Thanksgiving the following day.
So
nothing's going to change. More promises. How long, guys, have we been promised by politicians that they're going to audit the Fed once they get in office? It's now a campaign promise. We'll run on that in 2 years again, boys. About the gold in Fort Knox, same thing. There's none there. We're going to find out where it is. Next election, boys, we'll run on that again. Nothing's going to change. We elected people. They put John Boehner back in the leadership. Nothing's going to change at all. It's the same old game. Thanks for taking my call, guys.
not like ending the segment on an upbeat note. So we're going to take a break. We'll be back. You listen to Sanity Check 94.3 FM, The Talker.
As we roll down this unfamiliar road, and although this wave is stringing us along, just know you're not alone, 'cause I'm gonna make this place your home.
We're back. Your home. 94.3 FM, The Talker. Libertarian Lou, Tea Party Mike. Michael, that's what we do. We expose, we inform, and we enlighten. I was just listening to that commercial that we cut. Boy, come at the end of this month, Michael, we'll be starting. We're going to be starting into our fourth year or our third year? I'm kind of losing track myself here.
Well, I'm not quite sure, Lou. We're going to have to go back to the original tape. I bet you probably our good friends up in Lake Wallenpaupack would know that. I'm sure Lou has that. He's got the first one. But Lou, it just flies. We did this just thinking, let's have a little bit of fun with it. And next thing you know, you have a newspaper. Next thing you know, the newspaper is growing. We're starting to build some credibility, and really starting to get the voices out that were stifled. Whoever heard of Kathy Dobash, and now there's a voice. And Kathy Dobash, for those who don't know who she is, again, we talked briefly about her being on Luzerne County Council. She looks like such a unintimidating figure, physically, but we know different. And so these are the type of people that we really need. We have to go out there and stop looking for those that the old look good, smell good, have all the right words to say, and we find out that that's not the truth. And it's really something we have to look at. And the encouraging thing kind of jumping on Gary when he left us with a negative note, is that the states are really starting to pick up people. We have here in Texas our new Governor Abbott, who is already in the process of suing Obama and a lot of the things he's doing with immigration. And I think he has some possible good success in beating him. So I do still have hope in America, Lou, and the people, and we just need to wake up.
I was just handed a note. We are going into our 4th year, and yes, talking about hope in America, and certainly we encourage folks to go to muckrakerstore.com. You could get a subscription for the Independent Gazette, whether it's here locally at Wilkes-Barre Scranton issue or the Quad, Tri-County, and we're going to give some more information on all those things as time goes on. Certainly Carbon County, and we have the Arlington paper. And Michael, I do believe at the beginning of the year, as we put some more of this, I guess, building our foundation for growth, I do expect that 2015 is going to see some exponential growth in what we're doing, because there's a lot of, I mean, folks are looking at this and finding the value in what we're doing. One of the stories that I did want to talk about, and certainly one of our front page articles here, we at the Independent Gazette are excited to announce a unique partnership with the Northeastern Pennsylvania Veterans Multicare Alliance, and to bring the Veteran of the Month program to Gazette readers. And on the front page, I see his mug sitting right there, Kerry Schimelfenig, and he's in studio with us. And Kerry's heading up this program. And Kerry, good morning.
Good morning. And let's clarify a few things. I'm very, very appreciative of the young picture, and I'm glad you put the bison on the right side, just in case.
That's right. There you go. So,
hi, Mike. How are you?
Michael, that's okay. Michael's. So anyway, Kerry, you've been.
Sorry, guys, I dropped my phone. I apologize.
It's all right, there, Mike. So, so anyway, Michael, we're moving into a unique partnership with the Northeastern Pennsylvania Veterans Multicare Alliance, and Kerry just wants to talk a little bit about that. Certainly, we had Vet of the Month for a while, and then of course you made some changes, and Ingrid Martinique went down for a little bit, being sick and stuff like that. But all these things are coming full circle
the
around
intent
again.
was never to let them go. It's
right.
just, it was a case of just moving and shifting and shuffling and getting it organized properly again. And we're at that point. I'm excited about the, we call it NEPA VEMA as the
NEPA VEMA, okay.
And the collaboration with the Gazette and you guys to do this, because we had a great opportunity there, recognizing a Veteran of the Month, letting them tell their story.
People loved it, Kerry.
Whether it was a family member, whether it was the veteran themselves, talking about a past or future veteran, someone that's presently serving, someone that served. And it was just a great funnel for us as to expose these people to the community so they could thank them in more ways if they saw them on the street or the family member, whatever the case was. So that's never died with us, and you and I have kept in touch and tried to bang our heads together and figure out how we can bring it back. And we're just great that this is exciting, because, we at NEPA VEMA are trying to grow the organization, and we've got a lot of exciting things that we've, collaborating with you guys on. From, we have a house in Nanticoke that was given to us by a veteran's family for the purposes, and we're putting that program together, and we're going to have some things on that in the future. We have a couple of fundraisers for some bowling facilities throughout the Luzerne and Lackawanna County.
Yeah.
We have a panel that we're putting together, which we're just finalizing, that we're going to have of business leaders, executives that will allow veterans to come with a business plan and for free listen to them, help them, and guide them through it. The only requirement there is that you have to be an honorably discharged veteran. A lot of the programs out there that the government's put together, the intent was fantastic. The problem is they've kind of compartmentalized them. Right. Whether it's a returning veteran and a lot of the veterans that need help are veterans that are in their 60s and 50s that are starting their own business, that have the wherewithal but need the guidance. So I've gotten together and reached out to many community leaders, and several of them jumped right on board and said, look, what can we do to help? So we at the NEPA VEMA said we would sponsor this organization, and of course, you guys were great to step right up to the plate. It's just exciting.
And actually, some of the other people that are on have talk shows here in 94.3 FM The Talk. I think with David Madeira, and you got Marty Wolf.
David, they're very supportive of coming on, helping out any way they can with the veteran. Marty's been a huge asset of putting this panel together and working with us. So we're excited about it. We're tickling because we haven't really finalized it all.
Okay.
What we're going to do is we're going to come out and in collaboration with, as we had spoke with the paper, and come out with the details for it. Again, it's completely a voluntary panel. It's completely a voluntary, again, the only requirement will be, a veteran, or it will be an active service member. And it's a great opportunity. They can run a business plan up the ladder.
And this is for all northeast Pennsylvania, right?
It's northeastern Pennsylvania. It's the goal is to hopefully grow it. Everybody, whether it's a board member that's sitting, a future board member on NEPA VEMA, they're either a veteran or someone who wants to serve and give back to the community, and they do this. That's what's exciting about the organization. That's why I was excited to get involved, and of course. I brought some juice to it because I was looking, you and I had been talking, and I thought this is a great opportunity for us to collaborate with someone to grow it, to grow the exposure to the veteran. And everybody's just volunteers. It's a labor of love. There's nobody on there. And we're always willing to accept new board members. We have a requirement. You send in your resume or your interest, your bio. We review it. We interview you, and we go from there. So we're not closed to new board members. The thing is, we want active board members. There's a lot of people
that are
sit
involved
on a board,
in the community, absolutely,
and they literally sit on a board. You know what I mean?
And Michael, this goes to what you were saying. Where the hope and this. Something like this, as we get involved, in Kerry and Michael, helping people grow their business locally here, certainly helping veterans organizations, and then certainly helping folks that, I know, Kerry, you've done an awful lot with the disabled veterans. I mean, we the group over in I think Wayne County,
Tom Ryan,
and all that stuff going on. I mean, you've been at this for quite some time, but certainly we're going to be able to run not only this article but articles as we move forward in Carbon County, in the other counties, in the Quad counties up there with Sullivan County and Montour and Susquehanna and all of northeast Pennsylvania.
That's the intent. The intent for this program, and let's be very clear at the beginning, and what we've decided, or what we focus on, is to recognize a veteran or a veteran's family. That's where this is going. The other things, we just happen to have this forum where we can expose the other opportunities that are available to veterans and veterans' families as we do things. But the intent for this program, and for us that we did, is to start was to recognize a veteran, to bring that back, because it was such a successful program, and it was a great program, and I think we were both chomping at the bit to get it back.
Absolutely,
together. There's no doubt about it. We've been every now and then, between Ingrid and you and I and John, looking and getting both Johns. I gotta get confused. They get me confused. It's like my nephew twins.
There you go. And you're talking about John Manco and John
DiLiberto. I talked to the both of them. God bless them. They know what's going on, because one will send me back, no, you got the wrong guy. So they keep me straight, thank God.
I do the same thing, Kerry, so don't feel bad about that stuff. But certainly, what's the best way to get in touch
with?
They
can contact the newspaper, and then the organization maintains an office on 71 West Northampton Street in Wilkes-Barre, and the number for the office is 570-706-2066. Now, we're redoing our website and getting organized. There is a email address, and hold on, I know I'm prepared. It's veterans12@frontiernet.net.
Okay.
And that's veterans12@frontiernet.net.
Michael, you trying to chime in?
It's really interesting as I'm listening, and how, the awareness of our veterans. And you think not so long ago, where the veterans really weren't even noticed. If anything, they may have been mocked. And we know that during the Vietnam War. And, Kerry, I see right here in Texas, so many of the young men who have options to do lots of things are joining the military now, Kerry. They feel a pride and a sense of duty. And I find encouraging, that our young men are starting to really say, hey, you know what? The military is an honorable way to go, and that's what I'm going to do.
And I'll tell you what, Mike, it's a great point, because it's when I joined, and a lot of the other older veterans. It was a different time frame. It was a different focus. But today, the military is so technologically advanced, so educationally advanced, that it's a huge opportunity for people. And the cost of schooling, quite frankly, it helps offset that. And it helps you to be, it gives the opportunity for people in either communities or that want to make something of themselves, want to get forward, want to move forward, will have the drive, the initiative, and the focus. It's a great place for them to get clarity on their vision and clarity on where they want to go.
It is, and I think it's a great opportunity. It's folks like yourself that have the awareness and really highlight those that sacrificed in the past, and I congratulate you guys.
Thank you so much. And I think that the other thing, too, is there's a lot of organizations out there. People need to be aware that are willing to help veterans, but you just have to weed through them like any organization. Some are truly caring, and some, there's an agenda. Clearly with ours, it's a completely voluntary. This organization is a completely nonprofit organization. The board members, as we'll announce them in the article's future, each of them are excited about doing a little bit about each of the veterans. We have a huge pool of veterans. We've gotten situations where we've had veterans with their families stuck and they couldn't get their car fixed. So the VA would call us and say, look, we know there's a bunch of red tape. They can't get any revenue. They're stuck. There's a family. We'll go ahead and work them and put them through the system a lot faster and get them through our system and, get them some resources to get their heat on or to get their car fixed. And, it's just a great thing. And I'm so excited to be a part of it. And I'm so excited that we can collaborate again on this.
Kerry, thanks so much for coming in today. And Michael, as we continue to grow, it's fantastic to be able to start partnering with a group like not only NEPA VEMA, but we're going to be able to give a voice and at least get information out on a number of different groups and this collaboration that we can do with different organizations that we find are beneficial to the community and to build our communities to a better place. We're going to take a break. You listen to 94.3 FM, The Talker. Can they hear us now, Frank?
I hope so.
How about Wilkes-Barre? How about that mayor?
How about
Nobody reads that paper. I still remember that. You remember that?
Get a life, Mayor says.
Get a life, he tells us.
Right?
We're still here.
Honest to God.
And elections are coming up in Wilkes-Barre.
Well, did you see what the mayor said just recently this past week?
No, hopefully not about me.
No, it wasn't about you. It was about the city employee who was stealing buckets of cash and dumping them over at the Edwardsville Price Chopper.
Okay, go ahead.
Who likely would never have been caught if not for the quick action of a Price Chopper employee who I could not be prouder of. Thank God for her.
Right.
At any rate, he says, I am extremely angry and disappointed that a city employee was found stealing government funds, Layton said. Now, isn't that rich from a gas thief? Come on.
Say it the way it is, Frank. Just let's lay it right out there.
He says that this shouldn't tarnish the reputation of the hardworking city employees, which I absolutely believe. It shouldn't. I mean, so what if we have a parking enforcement thief who steals money from the coffers, a mayor who steals gas, and a DPW employee who steals hot dogs from Turkey Hill? I mean, come on. Don't look to all city employees and say they're probably thieves. I mean, just because our mayor's setting a shining example here.
Go ahead, Michael. Were you chopping at the bit over there?
Well, it's funny because it does go right up to the county. Let us not forget the free meals at the prison loop.
I forgot. What was that?
Baloney Gate.
Baloney Gate, that's right.
Baloney Gate.
There was so many gates going on, I have no idea what's going on. That's right. Remember, they're giving away free fruit.
The fruit baskets.
The fruit
Get
baskets.
yours now. Are they still giving them away? Do we know?
Yeah, there's so much that goes on. You can't, Michael, once again, this goes to the free market, it goes to, the welfare state, and really, I mean, when we even talk about the welfare state, really, in many ways, we could look at government employees sometimes and look at it as a welfare state because they're, we have a little clip and it seems like, although it's going to work in perfect with this, Milton Friedman, the American economist who was maybe the 20th century's most prominent advocate of free markets. He had a few things to say, and Michael, this could lead us into next week. We could have a little bit of a conversation about free markets, but let's hear what Milton Friedman had to say about free markets and maybe what's going on in Wilkes-Barre. Go ahead.
The thing about the welfare state is that when you start on this route, everything goes fine. To begin with, you are imposing taxes on 90% of the people.
You just take a little bit at a time, Frank.
Right. And are able to give considerable benefits to 10% of the people. But the problem is that as time goes on, more and more people come in and either express a desire or are given a chance at a part of the proceeds.
They want a little
so you
piece of the
gradually
action.
get to the position where 50% of the people are
becoming a little unbalanced,
providing benefits to other 50% of the people, and then you ultimately get to the position where 100% of the people are paying taxes in order to provide benefits to 100% of the people. And you are then in that situation, which Frederick Bastiat described so well 150 years ago, when he said that government is that fiction whereby everybody believes he can live at the expense of everybody else. The question remains, however, what goes wrong? Why is it that such noble objectives lead to such disappointing results? After all, the objective of promoting the welfare of the ordinary man, of eliminating poverty and disease,
it's a beautiful thing,
providing security for old age and against mishaps of fortune, those are noble objectives. I do not believe that there is anybody who can regard them as undesirable. Why is it that the attempt to effectuate such noble objectives by using the machinery of government
force
tends to produce results which are so disappointing? In my opinion, the fundamental answer is very simple. Using government to achieve these objectives means trying to do good with someone else's money. And when you try to do good with someone else's money, there are two basic flaws in the process. The first of those is that nobody spends somebody else's money as carefully as he spends his own.
Certainly historic.
And therefore you're going to have waste and ultimately fiscal catastrophe. But the second is that you cannot do good with someone else's money unless you first take it away from them.
Lou, give me your money.
And therefore, force, coercion, sending a policeman around to pick somebody else's pocket is at the very heart of the welfare state. And the situation becomes one in which bad means corrupt the good intention.
Corrupt.
There you go, X. There was a nice big softball for you over there. You know, let me stick my hand in your pocket to benefit the causes that I want to help.
Well, it's just like all these people that think they're helping a situation by liking it on Facebook or something. But the beauty of having Milton Friedman on was the fact that this past week, Mark Levin was playing some of his talk about crony capitalism and so forth, which Levin goes on, he talks about how great Friedman was, blah blah blah, mentions he's a libertarian, but then of course if I call up the show and start talking about, well, why don't we go further with what Milton was talking about in drug decriminalization in order to solve the problem of drug addiction, then he goes ape on me.
So Michael, I'm thinking that just the way this turned out, and Frank, you brought up about the government employees helping themselves, whether it's to gas or that they're doing it for the benefit of others, themselves most likely, or their families. But at the end of the day, Michael, I think we do need to have a long conversation on this whole welfare state. We certainly brought it up with our immigration issue last week, and at least in my opinion, that we're not going to fix the immigration problem until we fix the welfare state. But I thought what Friedman had to say is spot on.
Well, it was interesting when you had mentioned, putting your hands into somebody's pocket for their agenda. I think Geez, that's like having a teenager at home.
Well, yeah, you got that going on too, but government in general, and we talk about this all the time. Whether it's about elections, whether it's about they that's exactly what's happening. They're putting their hand in your pocket, and then they send the police around to make sure that they get if
your pockets are empty, and they're going to send the cops after you.
Well, no, even if it's not empty, they're going to send them around to make sure that these laws are being enforced to use that money. Just this past week, Michael, I was and I'm seeing it more and more that there's commercials about Common Core that's out there, and I'm starting to do some research. Where is this money coming from? Are they using our own money to indoctrinate their agenda?
Of course they are.
And then it goes right back again to why we have a limited government, or why we want a limited government, is so that we don't, because we're on, it's almost like this gerbil in the cage at this point.
Yep. It really is, Lou, and you keep seeing this. And, but there are so many, I had a lady that I work with, and she was saying how there was this group of family, they have their own restaurant, and they have this, and yet they get everything on the system because they're really lying about their status. And she said to me, and it's bad because I'm a liberal. And I said, you just think you're liberal. Because, see, there's this disconnect, Lou, that our society is like, okay, if you're a liberal, you're kind, you care about people. But if you're conservative, you don't care about people. But it's quite the opposite. We do, and that's why we want to give folks the opportunity to be as big as they want to be. And that we're not there to throw people under the bus and say, "Oh, you know what? Go starve on the streets." But this is the
or you're a racist. Let's not forget that.
Or you're a racist.
In some way, you're racist.
We'll get just before we go off air today, we'll make sure we get everybody's blood pressure sky high so they can call into the rest of the shows.
That's
today.
it. No welfare. You're a racist. That's it. You're done.
That's why we're here, right? I mean, so we get everybody. Oh no, people are supposed to call in to blow off their steam. We're not supposed to build it up at the end of a show and say, "See you next week."
Call Madeira on Monday.
Call Madeira, right? And that number is 888-577-4487. Call David and say, "Wait a minute, it's been building up all weekend."
Do you know what they said on Saturday?
So, but I love that. Michael, it comes right back down to it again. You can't you use other folks' money for.
It's the best kind, Lou. I love spending other people's money.
I know you do, Frank. That would be great. Frank would be great at that, but you don't, and you're always looking for. Yeah, you get the whole concept here. That's for sure. But Michael, I think you just touched on something there too a little bit, and I think it's part of the marketing problem that perhaps libertarians and conservatives do have is that somehow, because if you're just going to give stuff away, that somehow you're doing it for the right reasons, and I think Friedman just said that. Of course, everybody would like to see everybody succeed. Right. But X, you've even brought this up. It comes down to that same old axiom. You teach somebody how to fish, and then you feed them for life, as opposed to just giving fish away, and then they need to.
They'll be back tomorrow for more fish.
They'll be back with
the key point, though, of teaching, the problem, Lou, is though if you teach a person to fish, then they don't need you anymore.
Bingo.
Whereas if you keep giving them fish, then you have them like a fish with a hook in their mouth that they can never go anywhere without you telling them or steering them where you want. And that's what the system is designed to do.
You're exactly right, and that is what the system is designed to do. And Michael, we are down to the last second, so if you have built up that blood pressure, you make sure you call David on Monday morning. But Michael, you got it. You got the last word.
Of course. God bless all.
God bless everybody. Have a great weekend.